to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki, reporting live and direct, beloveds, from the island of Lamu. Right behind me is the sand dunes, and someone emailed me a little while back, and they were telling me about the importance of self-care. And then, ironically, she was like, can you talk about the importance of self-care to our family so that, people know the importance of really taking care of their own mental and psychological health. And then, ironically, the president of Kenya opened up Kenya, like there was no more curfew, whatever. So I decided to take a road trip, almost 13 hours to the coast, and then, had to leave my car somewhere, hop on a boat to this island, beloveds, where I lost a dear friend last year. And so I've kind of come to, pay my respects where her spirit departed. But it's reminded me a lot, like the world is really changing, beloveds. The world is really changing. Like everywhere you go, you see people with their facial diapers, you know what I mean? And staying at different kind of Airbnbs, and not really hotels, but like cottages, maybe they're like 10 cottages, whatever, along the way. Everything, the same thing that's happening in the heart of Babylon is happening here, where people who are connected to the Babylon system are being told, if you don't eat double max, then you can't work for us anymore. And so even though across the continent there was this sentiment that people were not gonna, we're gonna stay vegan, if you get my vibes, I have to speak in code when it comes to this. Now it's just like, oh, my job, oh, my this, because people hadn't really prepared themselves and they didn't have all the information to kind of figure out, why, the why of why they've made that particular decision. So the world is dramatically changing, beloveds, and it's literally reaching a point where I probably won't be able to, make trips like this anymore because of the decision I've decided to make, where things like hotels and most like bigger scale Airbnbs are gonna have to be off people's lists if you've decided not to take the Big Mac. But those are stories definitely for other days. I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms before it's too late. I really want to thank everyone that supports us on Patreon. We appreciate, love you so much. Thanks to everyone that's given us all those amazing, feedback and comments on some of the videos. We're definitely going to dive deeper into, into many of those topics, especially touching upon some of the more delicate things like toxic families, uh, the why people do the things they do, like sexual abuse, etc., etc. So I will definitely be getting into that. But I wanted to talk today about the importance of knowing who you are, beloved. Like really overstanding that. And because that is the foundation that you need to be building on. That's the rock that you need to hold on to into in the seasons and times ahead, because we've left the physical world. We've left the age of emotion. And now the world, it's purely mental, beloved. What you think you will live. And if you don't think constructive, creative thoughts, then you will be living someone else's destructive reality for you, destructive ordered reality for you. So the most important thing right now that you can be doing for yourself is figuring out, who are you? Really going deep, really going into your, looking at your birth date, going into your numerology, kind of even just meditating and asking your spiritual team about that. and diving deeper into that, because that's the only thing, that's the foundation that you need to really stick to some of the decisions that you've made at such a time as this. Because if you understand who you are, then you'll know you're not this physical body. So nothing in this physical reality can get you or block you or destroy you. But that means that you really need to be doing the heavy lifting in the spiritual realm. You really need to be disciplined with your thoughts, with your life. And I saw someone saying, "Oh my gosh, you've told us not to wear secondhand clothes, not to eat in restaurants. What next?" And I replied to the person, "Not to, don't take their meds, but like that. All of that is Babylon, beloved. And if you are too attached to any of those, then you're not ready, and you probably won't make it this cycle. And there will be another opportunity because you see, right now the worlds are separating. So it's like we were all on one ship, but now like the ship is dividing, and one is going to go this way and one is going to go that way. One is going full on into a prison planet, whereas the other one is going into a whole new creative cycle. And it's not a choice that anyone can make for you. You have to make that choice for yourself and be brave about making that choice. So, who are you, beloved? Who are you? Try and figure out who you are spiritually and mentally first. That's why I was saying, look into your astrological chart, your numerological chart, and all these, you know, they have different ones. Vedic, which is the ancient Indian one. There's even some from Egypt as well. There's some people who have been working on that, reading the hieroglyphs and etc. etc. Understand the different personalities you've come in with, your strengths and what they call your weaknesses. Understand the seasons and the times, beloveds, because we're in 7 year cycles. So after every 7 years, we enter a new cycle in our own, in our own lives. And it is at those cycles that you'll notice the spiritual warfare is the hardest, or around those times. And you'll notice that it's around those times. It's like those are gates. So it's like you come in with all the pieces that you need of your personality, at all, let me say, all the building blocks, and then you start putting them. So by 7 you've reached a certain level, then by 14 you've reached a certain level, and you get access to more of your own information, more of your memory, etc., etc. And this is why education has been so key, so that that important foundational time is totally mashed up. The three first cycles of your life until you're 21, if you go through the Babylon system, they've totally programmed you to see the world as they want you to see it. But if you start to understand the kind of cycles that you're working with, look at the Saturn return in your life, because that's a certain period in your life when everything comes home to roost. Anyway, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloved, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. Thank you so much for joining me. I am reporting live and direct from Lamu. The importance of self-care. That's not even what I'm talking about today, but I took a mental health holiday. That's what they call it, right? That's what they call it. And it's just been amazing. Did a road trip across Kenya, and now I'm on an island. I'll do some shows where I'm actually, the camera is facing the ocean. But yeah, and I shut off everything, emails, everything for a week. It was absolutely amazing. But now I've decided I want to stay longer. So, you know, working from the beach, which is amazing because the inspiration and the meditation is just so high, beloved. And that's why I'm saying, I've been getting so many emails. How do I break this off my life? How do I break that off my life? How do I, cut off the toxic people in my life? How do I do this? How do I do that? And beloveds, It boils down to really getting into who you really are. Because if you don't know who you really are, then you're operating in his story or history. You're operating in a narrative that is really like a fantasy, beloveds. And it's funny because I was speaking to a scientist friend of mine, and he was telling me it's like, Babylon gave us their fantasy, their religion, their mind control weapon. And they took our science and they've been working with our science for so long, but we're not even taught the real science. So they understand, they focus so much on the mind and blocking the mind. And what I've found, beloved, is that if you figure out who you are, if you even just start going down that rabbit hole and you open up to spirit and you ask spirit, you ask your spiritual team, your guardian angels, your cosmic ancestors, the most high creator, the god or goddess councils that you work with, the different archangels, Archangel Michaels, all these are positive principalities and spirits that can work with you, beloveds. We live in a spiritual world. So if you are only moving physically, then you're missing the whole point and you're only working with like half yourself. That's why they say we're only using like, is it 5 or 7% of our brain? That's how asleep and dormant we are. And you see, you only expand in this world or rise in this world through overstanding, understanding, and understanding. So you can only overcome the situation and the hardships you're facing by reaching a certain level of clarity about your life and who you are. Because the more you get into who you are, why you came, what you came with, then you'll now move into a place where you start to see that it's narratives. You start to understand and you start to put things in their rightful place because there's certain narratives that are overshadowing your own story, whether it's abuse from childhood or growing up with narcissistic parents or marrying an abusive, toxic spouse or working in a, toxic environment. And then just the many repercussions of that, of how then you're taught that you're nothing. We've been wrongly conditioned. You're nothing, you'll never be anything. And that really works on our self-confidence and self-esteem. And you see, right now, beloveds, the most important work is on ourselves. That is absolutely everything, and it's absolutely critical at such a time as this. And you'll know, because that's the heavy lifting that must be done at such a time as this. The heavy lifting is mental. It's in your own, room. It's in your own privacy. It's in your own prayer closet. It's within your own vibes. Because the stronger you become in here, the more your world will change. And it's the complicated, longer answer, but beloveds, trust me, that's an answer that a very deep and powerful spiritual teacher gave me when I moved to Mount Zion. Because they were like, because of the energy of this world, where it is, the vibration of this world, going to spiritualists has its positives and negatives because everyone is kind of working on themselves. And many spiritualists, corruption is everywhere. Please watch my show on spiritual corruption. Because I do get a lot of emails where people are like, recommend a spiritualist for me who I can go and will help me get this off me, get that off me. But the best way, beloveds, and what appears to many as the hardest because of the work it requires, is to do the necessary work on yourself. And you see, you pass through levels, not through by time, like I meditated for 6 months and then all of a sudden, no. It's through overstanding. So the minute your mind is able to comprehend an idea that, you know, Jesus never existed, for example, then that opens up. It's like that's now the key to open up a whole new world to you. And that the world you're leaving will always try and pull you back like a magnet in steel. But now there's new horizons that you can pursue because if that didn't exist, then what's the truth? And the greatest pursuit is the truth, beloveds. That's what releases you from all these people that are trying to do things because they succeed on your ignorance. And so your priority must be to like get rid of the ignorance within yourself. Start getting to know yourself, beloveds, your strengths, your weaknesses. Look into your different birth charts. Many of them are even free online. Ask your spiritual team to lead and direct you to see what you're missing about who you are. And the more you discover who you are, the more you'll let go of who you're not, which is basically who everyone has always told you you were so that they could manipulate you and take advantage of you. We are in the best of times, beloveds. But if you're in the wrong narrative, we are in the worst of times. Stay uplifted. Tuko pamoja.